Believe it or not, in a lot of ways, we're winning. And it's pretty evident when you look at the disastrous consequences that Disney has been suffering lately in, what could only be described as collapse. You see 50% of their value, or the last 2 years worth of gains, have been completely eliminated for a whole host of reasons, of course, but I'd like to think a lot of it has to do with just how anti-family and pro-agenda they became. It became quite evident to people that they were headed one direction and not the other. And let me tell you, they've become a cautionary tale for other corporations. Let's take a look at it. Here we go. Recently, a draft decision from the Supreme Court was released. Now, these opinions in the majority usually outline the reasons of law why something is made one way legal or in another way illegal. And they do an excellent job of that. But this is an unprecedented situation. A leak like this has never occurred. This has never happened, and it's created a crisis within the judiciary, especially at its highest level. Setting that aside, whatever that happens to be, companies are taking notice. According to the AP, major companies are staying mum on thorny ending pregnancy issue for now. New York, this is again from the AP, an authoritative source, right? A leaked draft of a Supreme Court opinion that would abolish a nationwide right to ending pregnancy has thrust major companies into what's arguably the most divisive issue in American politics. It is one of the issues that we do deem a FYI here in this country for those of you abroad, for whatever reason. I'll keep going. But while some are signaling support for ending pregnancy right, many want to stay out of it, at least for now. Experts say it's tough to navigate these waters. Companies are facing increasing pressure from social media and their own employees to speak out. And while some of them have weighed in on issues like LGBTQ rights, voting rights, and gun control, the thorny issue of ending pregnancy could prove to be a lot more challenging. I would argue that nobody's arguing about voting rights. Nobody's arguing about LGBTQ rights, and nobody is arguing about gun control. These issues have been largely decided long ago, but I will continue. This is the hottest of hot potatoes, said Alan Admonson, co-founder of marketing consultancy Metaforce. While lots of issues are polarizing, this is ground zero for polarization. Yeah, no kidding. People are fanatically passionate one way or another. It's absolutely true. Despite the risks, major companies have waded into this issue before in the past. In 2019, more than 180 of them, including H&M, Slack, Glossier, I don't know if Glossier, I don't care, whatever, signed an open letter that said restrictive pregnancy ending laws were against their values and bad for business. How is that bad for business? It creates more customers. A similar letter was signed by more than 60 companies last year in response to a Texas law banning ending pregnancy after roughly 6 weeks. There you go. Among others, jeans maker Levi Strauss, the online review site Yelp, banking giant Citigroup, and the ride-hailing company Lyft pledged to cover travel costs for employees who have to travel long distances to access the ability to end their pregnancy. When the report of the draft court opinion set off the political firestorm this week, a few companies issued statements supporting the right to end pregnancy, but stopped short of taking further action themselves. Yeah, first of all, cautionary tale. So here we are. Many other companies have remained quiet. They include Netflix, PayPal, Microsoft, Patagonia, Target, Walmart, and Apple, which is reportedly covering travel costs for Texas workers through its medical insurance. Microsoft and the Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business federation, said it had no comment. No comment. The Business Roundtable, which represents some of the country's most powerful companies, says it does not have a position on this issue. I wonder why. Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, also did not respond to the AP for a request for comment, though its chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, posted on her personal media accounts on Tuesday that the document represents a scary day for all women across the country. That's a quote, folks. And I'm not sure why that's scary. It is what it is. Anyway, I'll keep going. Adamson believes that many companies have held off weighing in on the Supreme Court's drafts because they want to see what the court's final ruling is. We already know what the ruling is going to be. This gives companies a chance to think this through, he said, noting he needed to make a decision based on what the majority of their employees want. No, you're supposed to make decisions based on what's best for shareholders, because let's face it, almost all of these companies we've talked about are public. So yeah, employees can say what they want, and you could have, a decent chunk of your employees wanting stuff like this, but it's not good for business. Exhibit A, Disney. Exhibit B might be Netflix. We'll see. Anyway, over the past few years, companies have added their voices to the BLM thing, which, let me tell you, a lot of them are running away from now. And issues like same-sex marriage, which I think we resolved that 15 years ago, a long time ago. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of the garbage that's there. Again, they're conflating a lot of things because, again, this is an authoritative source, which means it's not absent opinion. But taking a stance on controversial issues is seemingly becoming more challenging, oftentimes pitting companies against Republican lawmakers who seem increasingly eager to push back. Wow, the right side of the aisle and the left side of the aisle play the game differently. We know that. Again, we are not going to weigh into the politics of it all. I'm just not going to. I'm not even going to weigh in on the issue specifically that's addressed here. I'm going to weigh in on the fact that these businesses maybe are wising up. I'll keep going though. Delta, which declined to comment on the issue, was the subject of attacks by the Georgia GOP last year for its opposition to the state's restrictive voting rights bill. Restrictive, meaning you have to provide identification to prove that you are legally allowed to vote. Holy crap. Not controversial at all for anybody that's thinking. In response, Georgia's Republican-controlled House voted to revoke a jet fuel tax break that benefits the Atlanta-based company, and it's an effort that ultimately fizzled. Well, let me tell you, Florida got it right. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill last month to dissolve the private government for Walt Disney World, which again controls it's how everything was being done on their property. That was in response to a parental rights and education bill that they are still trying to couch as a quotation that is absolutely ridiculous. On Wednesday, U.S. Senator Mark Rubio introduced a bill that would prohibit companies from claiming tax deductions for their employees' travel costs for this type of thing, or for any of the other things that are, outlined here. I'm not going to read. State lawmakers are similarly taking aim at companies that offer help for financial help, which again, that's another thing that again they're playing a different game. They're starting to play offense in the GOP. In March, Texas State Representative Briscoe Cain, a Republican, sent a cease and desist letter to Citigroup saying that he would propose legislation barring local government in the state, obviously, from doing business with any company that provides travel benefits for employees seeking the right to end pregnancy. If enacted, Cain said the bill would prevent the New York-based company from underwriting any municipal bonds in Texas, and unless obviously the bank rescinds its policy. So you're starting to see these types of things crack. In South Dakota, GOP Rep Scott Odenbach suggested lawmakers might look at legislation to discourage companies from covering the cost of employees to do this thing, right? David Levin, a professor at UC Hastings College in law in San Francisco, said the legality of what states can or can't do to regulate companies who cover such costs can get murky. He said the easiest thing lawmakers can do is remove tax credits offered to companies who cover them. Yeah, it would cost more for them to do business in a given state. I see that coming. There's an interesting way to couch this at the end of the article. I'm going to read that real quickly. This is from a professor, so it's not me. You would rather rather pay higher tax and have great people than struggle to recruit people to your headquarters in Texas, based on the idea that essentially Texas could take away your tax privileges, right? And this was said by Maurice Schweitzer, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, which is now, losing credibility as we speak. College graduates will have a lot of choices, and I think there's going to be a stigma and an aversion to moving to states that have these draconian laws. Anyway, clearly there are always going to be two sides to this issue, but I see it this way. Companies are waking up. We talked last week on several live streams about Exxon not flying affinity flags for anything now at their headquarters or any of their locations. They're doing that for a reason, because they don't want to alienate 50% or more of the country just to virtue signal for something that largely has no consequences or anything to do with the business in the first place. But hey, do you think stuff like this is going to work? Do you think this kind of offense for the other political side of things is the right way for them to go about doing things? A lot of people would argue so. Do you think that a lot of companies are learning from Disney's mistakes, from Netflix's mistakes, and from some of these other companies' mistakes who've waded into some of these issues when they just should have steered clear? I don't know. I'm interested in what you think, so use the comment section down below to, interact with me. Maybe we can have a discussion around this. Say what you will about either side of this debate. It's becoming clear that it is not something companies are going to want to get into going forward, because I think they don't like the accountability that comes along with it, and it's safer to stay out of it. And with that being said, be sure to support other independent creators out there. They certainly could use your support, as of course could I. If you're interested in more great content like this and you're not subscribed, consider selecting the subscribe button down there and turn on the notifications. Double check that all your notifications are turned on so you don't miss any great content or live streams on the channel. And of course, comment, hit the like button, all those other things you'll do for me and other great creators out there on the platform. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time.
Hey there, one last quick note before I let you go, and before we make it to the end of this video. I, CultureCasino, have a brand new Teespring store. That's right, you can now go to Teespring, look up CultureCasino, or use the link in the video below, and pick out some handsome and beautiful CultureCasino merchandise with many different designs and styles and colors, many different items. I was actually surprised at all of the things that you could create, and I have some more designs and items on the way here shortly. But, if you want to support the channel in that way, there is some merch. Otherwise, here comes the ending. Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.